that there must be a life or some mysterious presence, divine and transcendental, call it whatever you like. I am not merely a bundle of flesh and bones and blood. But there must be something in it that lights it up. This we have understood. How does that function through me? I understood the mechanism of life. Now the point is, how am I to realize? Come in contact with it. The structure of the bulb has been learned. And I know that bulb by itself has no light, and therefore there is something other than the bulb, behind the bulb, that expresses through the bulb when the light comes out. And now I want to know what is that electricity. What do? I had to remove the bulb and then contact that which lies behind the mind. Search for what is that with my finger, and then we can't explain what it is. Then you shall get it. In the same way, intellectually I've understood these are equipments, yes, and they function, yes. They themselves cannot function because they are matter, true. There must be something other than it is expressing through it, yes. Now what is that? Without removing these, I will not be able to understand that which lies behind it. Now how am I to remove them? I find that they are also powerful only because of the vasanas, and therefore vasana must be reduced. Less the vasana, less the desire, less the agitation, therefore very little extrovertedness, and therefore the mind is relatively quiet. Quiet mind has great contemplation, and when you are steady in contemplation, it happens. When the bulb is removed and the finger is inserted, it shall happen. What shall happen? You shall have direct experience. Of what? Of that which lies behind the... You get the... So then, the saboteur in my bosom, because of which I am not able to recognize my own dear real self, but I misunderstand myself to be the PFT, the limited entity, and all my sufferings and imperfections and agitations and sorrows are all due to this limitation upon me. How am I to then reduce the vasanas? It is here that what modern scientists calls a breakthrough we had in the subjective science. Just as in the objective science, very often we hear that we had a breakthrough in that problem, or we are expecting a breakthrough soon in this problem. The breakthrough is the word often used by the modern scientists. This is a phenomena that was not only in the present times, but also in the good old ancient times. The rishis indicated this phenomena as a revelation. I did not know it, but it was revealed to me because I was anxious to know it. Modern scientists, in their arrogant ego and vanity, intellectual vanity, will not accept a revelation. But the phenomena is going on. There is a problem in science, and they have all trying their level best. All the data has been in front of them, and yet they are not able to explain how, why, that particular phenomena, let us say, there is a question in the mind. Why? How? And the scientist's intellect or mind has nothing to talk, because all possibilities they have examined and found that they are all false. So the mind and intellect is relatively silent. But the question is still at that time, generally on the seat early morning, in the toilet, because that is a place where you just, in that mood, I mean, I'm not joking. Or maybe in his office, in the laboratory, he's playing with that file. All possibilities that has suggested itself into his mind, 4 or 5 possibilities, all have been proved to the hilt that they are all wrong. Investigations, they all reach only walled-in blind alleys. Yet the question is in the mind, how? And it is such quiet moments when the mind is utterly quiet or alert and the question is maintained. It is at that time that they get what the modern world call as breakthrough, or earlier the master said a revelation. Both the word revelation and breakthrough indicates that it is not your effort. You never knew it. It descended into you, and the modern man would say, it struck me. Struck me like a stone. Now a stone cannot strike you from your belly. It must be from outside. Meaning, I am not responsible. It struck me. But at the same time, the modern man doesn't want to accept that there is a greater intelligence than his, which can reveal to you the answers to your problems. They want to accept. So then they call it as breakthrough. According to your temperament, you may accept it as the rishis had a breakthrough in the subjective science, or you can say, if you have got belief and faith in the greater intelligence, that they had a revelation that when one individual functions in the world outside without orienting themselves with ego and selfish desires, the existing vasanas get exhausted, no new vasanas are created. This is a theory that has been declared in Vedanta. But Vedanta has not paused there to explain why and how. Just as in breakthrough, they can only give you the solution for the problem, but how did you arrive at it? It's not given, because they did not arrive at it. It arrived to them. They did not arrive at it. So they don't know the ways. It's a breakthrough. So they said, without ego and egocentric desires, if you can act in the world outside, the existing vasanas will get exhausted, it purifies you. Now the question is, can we act without ego and egocentric desires? Is it not in all action? I must have the consciousness that I want something. Without these two, how can I act? When these two are not there, I am in deep sleep or under total chloroform. No action can spring forth from me. Then how am I to lift myself from the ego and selfish desires and act in the world outside? Any intelligent man round the world at any period of time would say this is impossible. This is not a practical philosophy. It is an utopian dream. It is a solution or a treatment which is more painful than the disease. If the treatment is more painful than disease, it is better to have the disease than the treatment. It is not so. The Rishi said, all of you are right. When you deny this as a path, you are right. Our sympathies are with you. Why? In 99 cases, it is true that nobody can act in the world outside without ego and egocentric desires. Except one exception. In that condition alone, man voluntarily acts without ego and egocentric desire. At the altar of love, you and I act without ego and egocentric desires. I love my mother and I am serving her. She is sick. I am serving her, not that I may get some money from her, or that she has not written the will and therefore I am serving her. No, that very serving her is itself a great joy and fulfillment for me. Not to serve her would have given me agonizing pain, a sense of guilt. So I am working for the sheer joy of doing. The father who loves the child, he may go about in a torn shirt, can't afford another shirt, and yet he will be sending money for his college education. Why? Love. Thus, loving the Lord and acting in the world outside is the method by which the existing vasanas can exhaust. That is why in all scriptures, service of mankind, of the community, the society, as a dedication unto Him, or as a worship of Him, dedicating to the Lord, act on in the world outside. In Gita it is said that thus worshipping me with your karmas, work in the world outside, is the noblest of all worship. Such an individual who does it, he is serving me the best. Now, even though all of us have got BMI, everyone, no exception, yet we are different from each other because some of us are body-oriented, some of us are emotion or mind-oriented, and some few of us are highly intellectual type, rationally oriented. Mankind falls under these three types. And the fourth type I am not explaining. The fourth type is neither physical, nor mental, nor intellectual. They are personalities below par. We are taking normal, healthy human beings. They fall under these three categories. They are bodily, physically oriented, emotionally oriented, intellectually oriented. Naturally, therefore, these three types of people cannot be prescribed with one and the same method, technique. Just as one child of yours is interested in engineering, another in medicine, a third in music, you can't say that, no, all of you learn music. Ay-ya-ya. All of them learn engineering. It will never happen. So this wonderful idea, this or the Western religion, semistic religions, it's not true. One way, one God, one scripture. It is wonderful to hear. Good socially, to militant, to make it militant. But from the spiritual standpoint, it is detrimental and suicidal. Each individual must be given his freedom to bloom by himself. It's only because all of us are not of the same, similarly oriented personalities. To those who are physically oriented, who can never sit quietly, it's a surprising thing that you are all sitting quietly. Man finds it the most difficult to sit quietly. And your notebooks, if you look, you will find that you have never been sitting quietly. What all cartoons you have done on the margin. Hey? You are not an artist. It doesn't mean that you never attended. You attended, but your hand was going on cartooning. Even international conferences, they always supply you with paper and pencil. Not to take down notes, but to... See, what Kennedy was drawing at the time when the meeting was going on, the cabinet meeting was going on, deciding upon the fighting with, start the war with pig. What pig? Bear pig. You see, that picture is there in the New York. Go there and see in his exhibition. There is exhibited the backside of a young girl. He was drawing at that time. Not that his mind was there. His mind was in the problem that they are discussing. But his natural vasanas are coming out. You understand? It's natural. And if you don't give the paper and pencil, people would sit there and scratch and spoil the table and the polish. To repolish it is very costly. So to say that every board meeting, they will supply free paper and pencil. So that hands cannot keep quiet. School desks, have you seen? Bathroom walls, have you seen? Hey, it's natural. There's nothing immoral about it. So majority of us are body-oriented. To them, since they cannot keep quiet, action, the path of work is being prescribed. Do your duties according to the quality, whether Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the prescribed duties, do it without ego and egocentric desires, and worship me with fulfilling your duties. That would be your path. By thus rising above the ego and selfish desires in devotion unto Him when you are acting in the world outside, the existing vasanas get fixed. Or if you are emotional, with a devotion, move towards Him in love, and since you are in love, all your actions are dedicated to Him, just as you love your family, and therefore all your efforts in your offices or in your marketplace is all meant for me and my family. It becomes natural. The intellectual man, rational man will never do karma yoga, will never be able to really get involved in devotion because he has got a million questions to ask. He is not emotional. So if you say that pray to God, why should I? Who is God? Is he not all-pervading? If he is all-pervading, is he not in my house? If he is in my house, is he not in my bedroom? If it is in the bedroom, he is all-pervading, therefore he must be under the blanket also. Then why should I get up from the blanket and go to a church or a mosque or a temple? Is there more concentration of God there? Less 100 questions he asks. And you and I don't know how to answer, and therefore we say, you are an atheist. It is not. He is the greatest theist. He believes in him, but he is seeking, not in your method, because his instrument is intellectual. He is rationally questioning you. For what? To understand. Very often we misunderstand such people and we condemn them as atheists. They are not. They are seeking him by contradicting you, so that some logical reasoning may come from you, so that they can satisfy their intellect's quest. That is the path of contemplation, study of the scriptures and contemplation of the higher. By this, that's karma bhakti jnana, the path of service, the path of devotion, the path of intellectual contemplation. By these three paths, not that the three paths will take you there, no, the three paths will reduce the vasana, and therefore the vasana pressure upon M&I is reduced. M&I's wanderings into the world of OET is curtailed. The mind and intellect, the thoughts in it becomes quiet, alert, vigilant. Quiet, alert, vigilant, the thoughts have a tendency to enter into contemplative mood. The lesser the vasanas, the greater the contemplative mood. And by that process you awake into the higher state. All these three paths have been discussed exhaustively in the Bhagavad Gītā. The second chapter and the third chapter, fourth and the fifth chapters expounded the path of karma. The sixth, seventh, and eighth, and the ninth expounded the path of intellection. Chapter 12 onwards, the path of 12, devotion. 13 onwards up to the 18th, the path of contemplation or meditation. Vijnana Yoga. All of them have been indicated. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gītā is being declared in the colophon in the end of every chapter. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gītāsu. Thus, in the Bhagavad Gītā, Upanishadsu, it's the science of reality. Yoga Shastra, it is not only science of reality, the theoretical part, but also it is the technology of yoga, of how to reach therein. Such and such an title, and this discourse or the third discourse or the fourth discourse is now concluded. This is going to call for the conclusion. In every end of the discourse there is this colophon. Everywhere it is repeatedly said that in this Gita, which is at once a yoga shastra as well as an Upanishad, Brahma Vidya, the science of reality, and the yoga, the technology of how to reach it. this discourse has been given. It is making use of this chart of BMI, PFT, OHE. Once you have grasped this, you have got an entrance ticket into the halls of wisdom of the Bhagavad Gītā temple of understanding. If you have not got a ticket, you are great crashing into it. At one point or the other, you will be caught and chucked out. You will jump out of the Bhagavad Gītā because of the confusion that created in your mind. Once this chart is in your mind, everything, every line that has been said in the Bhagavad Gītā can be pinned on to this knowledge and everything becomes clear. Krishna very faithfully follows this chart. Now I can't say chart, these ideas.